remember about last year's game against Miami, Cam Ward, and it seemed like a shootout. What did you remember about that?
Yeah, I remember it being a lot of fun, knowing we were going to have to score a lot of points just because they had a high-powered team in offense and a good defense as well. So, but yeah, we got to be prepared going to this week. Tennessee's got a really good defense. They've been playing well.
When you're in that sort of atmosphere, is it like you notice anything extra on your throws, or is it like how is it being like in the moment when you're having that kind of fun? How do you process that?
No, I think it just, whenever you get those opportunities and you're prepared for it, it just happens naturally. And whenever you have those opportunities to go score, when you got to be able to take advantage of them. And when it happens like that, it's just you're doing your job as part of it, and you kind of want to keep replicating it, and you kind of get in that rhythm.
Kellen was talking to us a little bit about your pre-snap operation and kind of the growth that you've had there, really the solid nature of what that's been. Where do you feel like you've maybe made strides in terms of that in the NFL game and everything in terms of managing the operation pre-snap?
Yeah, I think it was just something I did quite a bit in college, and it's just a new language when you develop and learn a new offense. So there's a natural growing to that as far as what do we call this when we install a new play, and how do we like to manage these scenarios, whether who we're reading here. And I think over time you get more and more comfortable with what is good versus what. And for me, like I said, it's just been more repetitions. They're putting more on my plate where I feel like I can handle it that way. And also just kind of trusting the play call, trusting what I see. So there's a duality to it. But I think the coach has done a really good job helping me prepare that way.
How does tempo make the difference for you in a huddle situation and implementing that into the offense?
I mean, I think anytime you're huddling, you still have to get in and out as fast as you can. That was a big emphasis for myself and the whole team this week, the offense-wise. And how can we stress them that way? How can we get up and get down, even if we're going huddle, no huddle? So, it forces them to kind of declare, maybe, show what we're doing, but also we're going to run what we're good at and run what we can. So I think it was an advantage for us. We have to kind of keep doing that.
What is the area that stands out most that now having 7 games of experience that like you've improved at the most that you could only improve at with game reps?
I think just understanding the importance of keeping the ball moving forward and how important and vital negative plays are for a defense and how that can throw things off, whether it's penalties, sacks, turnovers, all that stuff. And I think anytime we can kind of keep the ball moving forward, me doing my job of extending plays, finding quick throws, taking those shots, I think it just sets drives apart. And you don't want to be in those 3rd and long situations where, it's tough sledding. So I think that's, for me, it's been a really, really cool learning moment as far as, you have to be so dialed as far as that pre-snap way because, defenses and, defensive fronts are too good to be able to just, throw it too many times where you're just in drop back the whole game.
What has Juwan meant to this team this year? I mean, you take it any way you want, but what he meant to you, what he's meant to the team as a whole.
I mean, for him, he's one of the most consistent guys, I've ever been around because of who he is as a person with his faith, who he is as a player, regardless of, what's going on and off the field. He shows up every single day, regardless of what people are saying about him. He's the same dude, and that's why I love him. He's a playmaker. He's doing, our captain's corner every single week, which is like our weekly team kind of skit or video, that we all do and kind of bond over. He's just been a great guy for all of us. I think that's why he's been here for so long. He's seen his trajectory, his growth, and I think he's obviously playing really, really well. And I got to continue to find ways to incorporate him, and he's been doing a good job.
I mean, this is like a career year for him as well. So, like, what does he offer you on the field specifically?
He's kind of that mix of a big play and a safety blanket. I always kind of know where he's going to be at. We do, like I said last week, we do a really good job of having those individual meetings, and I do that with all the guys as much as I can. But really, with him, he's great about just communicating what his thought process is on certain things. What he likes, on certain routes, where he wants the ball, and then he does a really good job in all other phases of the game too. So I think that's just a credit to him, his preparation, and also just, we talk about it. We're just having fun playing football. A lot of times we can overcomplicate things and try and make it perfect. Just go out there and play, and I think he's done a really good job of that.
Tyler, you've mentioned your preparation just a bunch of times about confidence and like why you feel like you're ready for these months. Like, what does that look like to you? Like, are you fighting the script in your head all week? Like, what is the process of getting prepared kind of look like?
Yeah, I think it's just taking it day by day. You know, when you're installing the game plan, whenever you're done watching the game, you're rewatching that tape, and how can you get better from there? What did you do well? What can you get better from? How can you build that into your bank going into this week when you get those next practice reps? And then it's preparing for your next opponent, getting a feel for them, watching those games, and then going right into the base game plan, down and distance, and mastering those play calls and what we're trying to attack. Versus certain fronts and coverages, and then going into third downs, and then making sure, you know, I feel great about third downs and what we're going to see there, and staying, you know, those extra hours there, and then the next day being red zone, and then kind of contextualizing it all at the end of the week, and running through it again. And so for me, it's just, you know, if I felt like I've seen it before, then I feel prepared. And most of the time, there's going to be stuff you haven't seen. So there is a football element. And, you know, the defenses do a really good job of mixing things up. So you have to trust your footwork, trust your eyes, trust the play call, and just kind of take over from there. So that's why it's so fun, because, you know, there is a preparation element, and that's where you get that confidence. And then you have that confidence for maybe it's not the exact look, but you kind of trust that work that you put into this point to go out there and execute it.
And then, like, that process, are you evaluating that as well as you go along, like, to see how the process is working, you know, week by week, season by season?
100%. I think you also trust the work that's put in by people before you, with your coaches, you know, talking to guys like Drew and talking to Kellen and all those guys. I think they know, you know, what it looks like, and also know what it doesn't look like, as far as you don't need to over prepare and go too crazy to where you're, you know, maybe you're second guessing. I think there's a healthy balance as far as that, and understanding for me what works that way. And I think we found a really good just system that way. And like I said, you know, who knows 10 years from now what that looks like, but I think the consistency is what remains.
So do you feel like you got a routine down now? Like,
100%. I feel like I've had a good routine since, you know, week 4 of the season. You know, I think early on you don't really know what you don't know, and but I was really tried to be intentional about it. Even whatever role I had was to make it the same. That way, whenever I was starting now, it wasn't like all right, I got to watch more film now, or I got to do this. And so that just kind of really helped me out, and it's a credit to the coaches as well.
Yeah, just to kind of expand on that, how did you tinker it, or what kind of clicked around?
From then to now,
Yeah.
there was zero. It was the same way as if I was a backup and starter. I think Spencer's obviously the same way as well. So that's what you have to do. It's a lot, obviously, as well, but that's why you do it. And so any way I can make it the same.
Obviously, there's a ton of people who are involved in that, right? But I mean, with Kellen being the play caller and the head coach, like how much you guys actually, you're doing the preparation, planning, and all that, like how much you guys bounce stuff off each other, what works, what's comfortable, etc.
Every day, really. I mean, there's early on in the week, we're texting each other, calling each other, just bouncing ideas. I'll send him a couple of plays that, you know, maybe I like, and he'll send his thoughts on certain plays as well of what we're seeing here. And then, you know, obviously as a staff, they're going to put together the game plan, and then it's my job to go out there and execute it. And then later in the week, you know, after we've repped it a few times, is, hey, what do you like here? What do I not like? Maybe I haven't repped this a bunch. So there's constant dialogue. And then sometimes you might get to game day and we might, you know, run something we haven't run yet just because we see something. So that's the best part about it. And that's the best part about Kellen too, is just he's one of the best I've been around as far as a communication factor and just having that open dialogue and running what the players are really good at.
Quarterback drafting is so strange in that there's like pockets of the draft, like you either go 1, 2, or 3, or how did you take that during the evaluation process when it was just like that you weren't in the conversation for like a number 1 overall top 10 pick, and like didn't know whether it was gonna be like, did you not think of that, or did you think everyone's missing out, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited for any opportunity because I knew wherever I went that I was going to make the most of it, and I wanted to be in a great situation and just be on a great team with a great city, culture, all those things. And to me, pre-draft, New Orleans kind of checked all those boxes, so it was kind of a dream come true that way. But for me, my whole thought process was I'm just going to have fun throughout it and be myself, show what I can do. And then just go from there. And, you know, I think everything will take care of itself. And I think you can't really get caught up in, and all the pre-draft rankings, the draft rankings, the day before, it all changes. You just got to go out there and do your thing, and that's their job to evaluate, and your job is to go out there and perform, execute.
Are those players that you were sending Kellen, were they exclusive to like your guys' playbook, or is there stuff like from around the league or even your time in college that you're just like, this is cool?
All of the above, yeah. We put in plays from my time in college, from around the NFL, or just even kind of drawing something up on a version of something else that we've ran. And obviously everyone runs similar plays, but how can you build it into what we're running this week? And maybe we like this a certain week. So there's just that, like I said, that's what he's really good at. I think he understands what we're feeling throughout the week, what we're good, how we need to attack. So that's just a credit to him.
Kellen has said he's kind of a night owl. Like, when do you get some of these texts?
Yeah.
He said you text him ideas at night and you wake up.
Yeah, I'll wake up at, whenever I wake up in the morning, like 5:36 a.m. and it's like 1 a.m. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like it's kind of a weird, because I'll send it usually around 8 or 9 o'clock and I'm not getting a response. And I think hearing from the other coaches on staff, he's been that way the whole time. He'll obviously spend the time with his family, gets home, then he'll work. And yeah, I mean, any way you get it done. I usually like to do it in the morning, but for him it works.
Kellen just talked about how much he liked your confidence during the draft process as well, especially like during this stretch of success for you. When you reflect back, what was the conversations of potential between him and Tozy and staff?
I think they just understood that, I may be 25 at the time, but I'd only played 30 or something games, and a lot of the adversity I'd went through really had helped me out more anything mentally. And I'd kind of seen all phases of the game in different roles, and it kind of, for lack of better words, humbled me. I understand that you have to earn it every single day, and I understand that I'm not perfect as a quarterback, and they understood that those growth opportunities of, pocket presence, ball security, different movements around the field, all those things, that's a growth opportunity for every single quarterback. And I think he just saw and believed in me, and that was really cool throughout that whole process to understand his perspective as a former quarterback. And you're always continuing to get better. You look at, we've said it before, that guys kind of playing really well into their 30s and late 30s, and it's like, well, how is that done? And I think it's just continual repetitions, continual growth that way. And I still have so much to learn and grow. So for me, that's where if my body feels good, and I had just the broken bones, and that was where I was just very open and upfront about it. And I was confident in myself. And then, if I'm good to go, then I'll be good to go. And I think they had that same mindset.
Personally, how do you feel about your growth and progress in these facets of the game this season?
I think it's continual. I think obviously I'm doing everything I can to win the game. And I think that there's going to be good days and bad days. And, how I think I can be better with ball security in the pocket. I can be better with my feet on certain plays. And I think there's little things I'm always trying to improve on. And that's going to be the same for however many times I can do it.
You talk about you feel like there's more room for growth?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we left a lot out there. I mean, we didn't score. We only had 9 points at halftime. So it's not good. And we got to be able to finish in a lot of those areas. And that starts with me. So I think that's the exciting part. And Taysom said it after the game is, you feel good about the win and performance, but you also have this taste in your mouth where it's not good enough. And we're going to find those ways to chink away at it.
What's that cleanup process look like? Because every time you come up here and you're like, I can do this better, it's like gone by the next week. Like, when you identify something, like how does that work?
It really goes into intentionality through practice. As far as it's hard to say it, when you're watching film, but you got to kind of remind yourself of it when I'm going through practice. Like, hey, let's be great here with my eyes. Let's be great here, checking the ball down or taking whatever it is, and let's be great there. And then as the week goes on, and then just going out there throughout the game, you have that, but you're just playing. So trying to make it a habit as much as you can. But at the end of the day, it's like I said, preparation leads to the confidence, leads to the just execution, and what you kind of fall back on, and mistakes are going to be made, and that's kind of part of it.
Does that think like a brutal honesty, like with yourself, and no ego? And
Yeah, I'm brutally honest with my notes. As far as that's something I learned from Peyton Manning at the Manning Passing Academy, and I thought that was really cool. Is he would essentially cuss himself out in his notes and essentially be really great on himself in his notes. Hey, great throw here. Big time, way to stand in there. I mean, just what are we effing doing here on this? You got to be better here. And it's like, if you have a high standard of yourself, and because we know, us and the coaches are really the only ones that know, and the guys of what we're trying to do on any specific play. And if you can be hard on yourself there, or if you can be, speak life into yourself, be positive, that's the best thing you can do.
Use the real words, or you go to halftime? You right after?
Now, for Taysom and Kellen's sake, we use fetching for those guys. No, I use the real word, but
What's the meanest thing you've written about yourself? And the nice.
I don't. I won't say exactly, but it's just, I mean, whatever you guys can think of. You got to be tough on yourself. You're your biggest critic. You got to be your biggest fan as well. I think you got to believe in yourself. But also, like you said, you have to be honest. And how can you get better? And sometimes, that goes with everything. Same with you guys. You're like, hey, how can I give more clarity on this piece or whatever? How can I ask this question and maybe invoke a response to this way, good or bad? So it's part of it. That's why I love it.
We talked about Cam Ward earlier, and no matter if it's the ACC or through the draft process, did you get a chance to know him personally?
Yeah, I love that dude. He was just one of my favorite throughout that whole draft process because of, I think, everything that he's been through as a player in his college background, transferring through multiple schools. We played in the same system at Texas Tech and Washington State. I knew he was going to have a great year at Miami because we had that similar role there, similar offenses. He obviously had an incredible year. He's doing an incredible job this year. Everything that he's doing for that team, playmaking wise. So just a huge fan of his, and excited to obviously play against them and that team because they got a really good team.
Sometimes you hear in a draft process when a guy goes number one, like, oh, I remember who was picked before me. I have a chip. Is there any chip going against the number one pick?
No, like I said before, I was thankful for every opportunity I was going to get, and I had full confidence in myself wherever I was going to go. So for me, I'm happy to be here at the Saints. I'm happy to be playing football right now in the NFL, and we got a job to do. That's my mindset. We're going against their defense, and they've done a really good job. So my whole focus is on that. And I think the cool part is when you go through these processes as quarterbacks and you kind of develop that brotherhood, you get to talk to each other after the game, and that's the fun part.
Was the Manning Academy, the passing academy, was that when you were like an actual student athlete?
Mm-hmm.
Or you went back?
Both. Yeah, both. Whenever I was originally a college counselor there, and then obviously most recently, they do an incredible job of just providing resources and kind of talking through, all that stuff that's helped them.
Right. I was just wondering, like, when you learned the notes thing, was that a few years ago, or was it wanted?
A few years ago, yeah, but it resonates every single year. I mean, hearing it again, it's because it changes through each offense, and I mean, they, like I said, they do a great job, and obviously excited to hopefully go back.
So what are the Christmas plans?
Sorry again.
We both said the same thing. So what are the Christmas plans?
Christmas plans. Yeah, we got a white elephant going in the quarterback room. I think all the positions are doing it, so we're about to go do that soon. And then I just got some family in town. My wife's family's in town, so we're going to have some of the guys over, some of my teammates over for Christmas who don't have anywhere and just hang out and watch some football.
Does the rookie quarterback still have to get his lineman?
Gifts?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they'll be here. We'll do it tomorrow. Yeah.